What would happen if Earth were suddenly hit by gamma rays? 1 second before the gamma rays reach Earth, you would notice a sudden extra sun in the sky. But it's 100 times brighter than the sun. That's the gamma ray. At the moment it strikes Earth, first, it would destroy the entire atmosphere. Global temperatures would skyrocket, triggering a chain of reactions. Tsunamis, hurricanes, and a series of natural disasters like extreme heat would follow one after another. All human-made electronic devices would instantly go haywire. Tens of thousands of living creatures on Earth would have their DNA shattered by the gamma rays, leading to total organ failure, and die in massive numbers. But the disaster caused by gamma rays doesn't stop there. Air molecules destroyed in the atmosphere would recombine into toxic gases. These gases would replace the original atmosphere, trapping the heat from the sun outside. When these harmful gases reach a certain concentration, the world would experience an unprecedented thunderstorm of acid rain. At this point, darkness falls. The Earth falls into an ice age once again. You once thought these were just plots from science fiction. But unexpectedly, while working in outer space one time, you witness with your own eyes Earth getting struck by a gamma ray as you're preparing to return to Earth from space. A blinding gamma ray pierces straight through the blue planet. Earth loses all vitality in a short period and gradually breaks apart. Having lost your only home, you have no choice but to embark on a journey to find the next habitable planet. You initially planned to go to Mars, but were stopped by the AI companion, Lorraine. Through precise calculations, Lorraine discovered this gamma ray has already altered the gravitational structure of the solar system. And this chaotic gravity will pull all objects in the solar system toward the sun. The destruction of Mars at its center is only a matter of time. At this point, you can only set your sights on planets outside the solar system. After days of discussion with Lorraine, you finally decide on Aurora as your colonization target. It's a planet outside the solar system. It was once affectionately called Earth's twin brother by scientists. But the problem arises. Getting to Aurora would take 30,000 years. Based on your current human lifespan, it's simply impossible. You understand quite well. To reach Aurora successfully, you have to solve two major problems. First, how to shrink the 30,000-year journey. Second, how to extend a human's limited lifespan to be long enough. After much thinking, you finally come up with an emergency plan. Dock the ship on a nearby asteroid. Use the resources on the asteroid to build the required factories, to enhance the spacecraft's travel speed, and manufacture cryogenic sleep pods, so you can freeze your own life and wake up only when needed. For now, this is the best solution you can think of. Time flies by quickly. Before you know it, you've spent a full 80 years on this asteroid. Over those 80 years, Lorraine constantly produced tens of thousands of robots. To boost productivity, the factories on the asteroid expanded to over 7,000. The original ship was also completely upgraded, renamed the Dawn battleship, because it's equipped with a third-generation controllable fusion engine. The journey to Aurora, which once took 30,000 years, now only takes 1,500. The cryogenic pods were also completed at the same time. Once everything was ready, you prepared to evacuate the asteroid immediately, based on Lorraine's observations. At this moment, Earth and several other objects are about to reach the center of the sun, which will trigger an extremely intense solar storm. Given the asteroid's current position, it would be directly destroyed by the solar storm. In the days after leaving the asteroid factories, we encountered Jupiter. At the moment you saw Jupiter, you remembered the scientists' theories back on Earth about Jupiter's moon's interior. Europa's surface is covered in a thick layer of ice. And under the ice, there's probably a liquid ocean hidden below. Based on Earth's experience, wherever there's water, life might exist. You immediately sent 30 drones down to investigate. First, to collect life samples from Europa. Second, to replenish the spacecraft with a large amount of liquid water. The 30 drones quickly landed on Europa's surface. Through their cameras, you got a clear view of the terrain. Sure enough, it was an endless snowy plain. After reaching the designated spots, the drones immediately started drilling down beneath the ice. After digging about 57 kilometers, they finally broke through the ice layer and entered a deep blue water world. After conducting electromagnetic scans, they found the total depth of ice and water on Europa is about 113 kilometers. That's 102 kilometers deeper than the deepest oceans on Earth. Then the drones began the water extraction mission, researching the water samples. You discovered that there really are microorganisms in this liquid ocean. They look a lot like paramecia on Earth, except they're more than 10 times larger. Given the right conditions, perhaps in a few 100 million years, on Europa, new intelligent life could really emerge. Just then, Lorraine rushed to you in a panic. The ship detected that the sun suddenly became extremely bright, which means Earth and several other objects reached the solar center. A powerful solar storm is coming. You stare closely at the energy readings on the screen. In an instant, the sun's energy soared from baseline to 10,000. In less than 10 seconds, the sun released energy equal to 150 billion hydrogen bombs, the energy that erupted simultaneously. You immediately set the ship's speed to the maximum. Fortunately, the Dawn battleship's maximum speed reaches 760 kilometers per second, while the solar proton shock wave travels at only 679 kilometers per second. After temporarily escaping the solar storm, you decided to enter the cryopod for hibernation. The ship still needs decades to completely get out of the range of the solar storm. You didn't want to waste this time. Then you handed over control to Lorraine and drifted into a deep sleep in the cryopod. But this time, hibernation was especially dangerous. You almost died on the way to Aurora. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, 288 years passed. During this period, the ship endured 6 solar storm aftershocks. But Lorraine managed to avert disaster every time. Finally, you successfully escaped the clutches of the solar storm. Just as Lorraine was relieved you survived, the exterior of the ship was suddenly attacked by an unknown object. With no other choice, Lorraine had to wake you from hibernation early. An alien civilization was detected 0.7 astronomical units away. The ship is currently under attack. Deep crimson laser beams are striking directly at the Dawn battleship. The ship's alloy hull, under the enemy's laser weapons, was soon completely melted. You rushed nervously to the cockpit. You finally got a clear view of the enemy's figure through the main screen. It was a fleet. The flagship was a bio-warship shaped like an octopus. Several escort ships followed around it. The laser attacking the Dawn was fired from those warships. You immediately asked Lauren, "Can the weapons on our ship fight back?" "No, our weapons and theirs are simply not on the same level." Realizing you can only sit and take the hits, you immediately steered the Dawn to change direction, making a full-speed escape from the enemy fleet. According to Lauren's analysis report, their maximum speed is just 535 kilometers per second. No match for the Dawn's 760 kilometers per second. But you were surprised. Even though their warships can't catch up with the Dawn, their lasers can. By now, the ship's exterior was severely damaged. Fortunately, as the distance continued to widen, those lasers became easier to dodge. This chase lasted for 21 days straight. The enemy finally gave up the pursuit, but the Dawn paid a heavy price. 2/5 of the ship's area suffered severe damage. Yet, based on the characteristics of the lasers just now, something came to your mind. A long time ago, at the asteroid factory, you were hit by similar lasers. Now it seems they were from this civilization. Looking at the badly damaged Dawn, you decided not to be polite with these aliens anymore. Lauren went all out to produce detectors. Find the location of this civilization for me, and also their civilization type and life form. You plan to use this information to create a weapon tailored against them. After receiving your command, Lauren quickly designed a special remote reconnaissance drone. Its core capability is signal shielding. It makes all enemy electronic devices unable to detect it. Eventually, the drone spent 4 years traveling through space. In the dark, starry sky, it detected an unusual planet. Through calculations, Lauren found out that the planet's surface area is about 890 million square kilometers, and it is very likely to have intelligent life. After months of investigation deep inside the planet by the drone, Lauren's deduction was finally confirmed. The planet's surface is covered with a large number of active volcanoes. It possesses extremely rich geothermal resources in the low-lying areas around volcanoes. There are all sorts of buildings. This life form is likely a civilization dependent on geothermal energy. At this time, the Chuju clan. You noticed, among the images sent back, there was one that didn't look like a building. You told Lauren to enlarge it. But the enlarged image made you furious. It was the enemy ship that previously attacked the Dawn. According to the image, there are at least several thousand ships. And on their octopus-shaped flagship, they blatantly display a wanted poster of the Dawn. From this, it seems, they plan to sweep this star sector, searching for us and wiping us out. Completely. Right as you finished speaking, a laser shot down the drone. The enemy apparently discovered its presence. But based on the information already received from the drone, it's enough for you to deal with them. This civilization is geothermal-based, meaning they rely heavily on volcano heat to survive. And that heat comes from the planet's core. We can create a special missile to cool the planet's core, cutting off the thermal supply from volcanoes. That way, most likely, this civilization will be stalled for a short time. Based on your plan, Lauren, designed a special nuclear bomb. This missile, equipped with nuclear fusion, can easily reach the planet's core. Once it arrives at the core, the explosion's energy can temporarily seal off the heat of the core, turning all those active volcanoes into dead volcanoes. Just one of these nuclear bombs can cool the planet for up to 40 years. After hearing this, you shook your head. The cooling time is too short. This is an interstellar war, after all. Keeping them stalled for 40 years would barely have an impact. We'll need at least 10 of these nuclear bombs. Since we've decided to go to war, we have to give ourselves enough time to develop. Lauren, if you follow this plan, how long will it take to produce such bombs? Lauren answered, with our current spaceship technology, we're not capable yet. It'll take about 30 years to develop.
Hearing this,
you fell into deep thought. You knew well, with the Dawn in its current state, it's impossible to continue traveling. You must find a place to repair the ship, and making nuclear bombs requires a sizable factory. You can't build that on the spaceship. Soon after, you decided to dock the ship at a nearby rogue planet, Epic Star. While repairing the ship, also build a factory to produce nuclear bombs. Right after landing on the surface of Epic Star, Lauren controlled tens of thousands of robots to start repairing the Dawn, and you entered the cryogenic chamber once again. Now, you are already 41 years old. You can't afford to waste much more time. Next time you wake up from the cryogenic chamber will be the start of the interstellar war. 30 years flew by in an instant. Year 3021 CE. Lauren woke you from the cryogenic chamber. The very first moment you woke up, you could clearly feel aging in all your physical functions. You started to feel somewhat powerless. But Lauren at this time already had a preliminary solution to break the human lifespan limit. There are currently 2 feasible plans. The first method is to upload your consciousness into a brand new AI-powered body. By doing so, you could be just like me, with nearly limitless lifespan. But right now, I lack test subjects, so I can't guarantee that after uploading your consciousness, you'll still be the person you are now. The second method is genetic modification. There are limits in human genes themselves, blocking the possibility of longer lifespans. Only by thoroughly modifying your genes, turning you into a non-human, can we achieve extended lifespan. But to ensure the feasibility of gene modification, I also need some test subjects for verification. Upon hearing all this, you sighed. On this spaceship, you are the only living being left. You can't experiment on yourself. Then Lauren proposed, once we capture the Chuju clan's geothermal civilization, take some residents from their planet as biological research material. Hearing this plan, you stayed silent for a moment, then nodded quietly. Agreed with Lauren's suggestion. After all this maneuvering, we still have to go to war with this alien civilization. Lorraine leads you out of the spaceship. In front of you are several missiles powerful enough to freeze an enemy planet for 40 years. Cryo missiles. During the 30 years I spent developing these missiles, the Tree Pig tribe wasn't idle either. The star sector we're in has suffered 5 search assaults from them. Fortunately, Epic Star's location is rather remote. So far, they've never found us. Up until now, The abilities you've shown Lorraine are flawless. But then you suddenly notice something. What really worries you is, during this long 30 years, the Dawn hasn't been equipped with any new weapon systems. Even though we've developed the cryo missiles, once we freeze their planet, we must take advantage of this window to aggressively upgrade Dawn's weapon systems and build a fleet of our own. Only this way can we safely reach the Morning Star. After Lorraine notes your orders, she pulls out the missile launcher from behind her. This button. All you have to do is press it, and the missile will lock onto and strike the target planet. Estimated arrival is in half a month. You slowly take the launcher from Lorraine's hand, but just as your finger is about to press it, you hesitate. What seems like a simple press is actually deciding the fate of an entire planet's population. Seeing your hesitation, Lorraine quickly reminds you that since they're the enemy, you shouldn't show mercy. Who knows? Maybe their warships are still scouring the galaxy, hunting us down. Either we destroy them, or they destroy us.
Hearing this,
You no longer hesitate, and press the device immediately, launching the missile. With no gravity holding it back, the missile almost instantly leaves the atmosphere. After firing the first missile, you look at the remaining 9 cryo missiles then. Every 39 years you launch another missile at the target planet, until they are all fired. Meanwhile, at that very moment, the alarm on Lorraine suddenly went off. It was a scouting drone lurking near the enemy planet. Sending an alert, you immediately open the control panel to check, and discover that the trajectory of the recently launched missile has already been detected by them. At this time, the warships stationed on various alien planets are powering up one by one, heading into space. You originally thought they were preparing to intercept the missile together, but their next move took you by complete surprise. A countless number of warships launched into space. Yet their first move wasn't to intercept the missile. Instead, following the trajectory of the missile, they set course for your location at Epic Star. Turns out while you developed quietly for 40 years, the Arachnid tribe was searching for you for those same 40 years. Now that you've exposed your location on your own, they're not going to let this opportunity slip. However, the Arachnid tribe won't just let the missile hit their home planet. Regarding this incoming missile, they decided to activate their ground laser weapons to intercept and detonate it. Upon learning this, you were completely stunned. Now, the Dawn has no weapon systems equipped. The only weapons left are 9 freeze bombs. If you wait for their fleet to arrive, it's over completely. But then Lorraine tells you to calm down. Don't panic. Lorraine assures you confidently, these warships coming at us will eventually turn back. That makes absolutely no sense to you. But Lorraine just tells you to wait patiently. At last, after a long journey, the missile finally arrived over the Arachnid homeworld, just as intended. The Arachnid tribe also activated their ground-based laser weapons, all aiming at the descending missile. Just as the missile tore through the atmosphere and entered the planet, the ground lasers began firing in unison. They thought they could detonate the missile right there. But suddenly their world was turned upside down. Every laser shot at the missile was reflected back. Turns out when Lorraine designed these missiles, she coated the shell with a special material reflecting lasers. After all, Dawn had already suffered from this before. Once the Arachnid tribe saw the lasers fail, they immediately sent the remaining ships to ram into the missile, hoping to blow it up directly. But they underestimated the missile's durability. A missile capable of piercing a planet's crust can't be stopped by mere ships. As expected, the moment the ship touched the missile, it shattered instantly. Seeing this, the Arachnid tribe started to panic. Faced with this impossible weapon, they felt deeply powerless. But the Arachnid tribe quickly came up with a plan. Just as the missile was about to hit the surface, it suddenly changed direction and flew toward outer space. You quickly realized it was a magnetic weapon. Although it couldn't detonate the missile, it could disrupt the missile's flight path. Seeing their electromagnetic weapon work, the Arachnid tribe immediately threatened you. You inferior alien civilizations dare attack us. Once we capture you, I'll turn you into specimens. Hearing that threat, Lorlin fired back immediately. You Arachnid freak. Who are you calling inferior? Just you wait. I'm about to freeze you into ice statues. and bring you back as snacks for the captain. You're extremely surprised. Lorraine can actually understand the arachnid language. Lorraine explains, over these 40 years, I secretly learned their language by using a drone hidden on their planet. Right as she finished, Lorraine pulled out a new trigger device. When designing the freeze bombs, I had a backup plan. Since their civilization level is the same as ours, both at level 1, it's very likely they've mastered signal jamming or signal misdirection techniques. That magnetic device just now was using signal misdirection. Lorraine raised the device and continued. This is a heat-sensing trigger. Once activated, the missile will analyze where the planet's strongest heat source is and head for that location. And on this planet, the strongest heat source is the core. As Lorraine pressed the trigger, the missile above the enemy planet immediately changed course, diving straight for the crust. The Arachnid tribe was thrown into complete chaos upon seeing this, and immediately called the fleet en route to your planet, ordering them to return at once and intercept. After receiving the command, the warship fleet instantly turned and sped home, but by then, it was already too late for the returning fleet. The missile already hit the surface. About 12 minutes later, it reached the planetary core. Boiling magma immediately triggered the missile's detonation device. However, this power enough to shake an entire planet didn't stir a single gust or dust. Only a freezing storm rose from deep in the core to the surface. Countless volcanoes became icy mountains in an instant. At this point, only the cold was something any living being on this planet could feel. For the entire geothermal civilization, it was their doomsday. A terrifying, rapid episode of extreme cold gave the planet's creatures no time to react. And in an instant, they were all frozen solid. Nearly 2/3 of their population perished in a single day. Fortunately, they didn't rely solely on volcanic heat, but had also developed nuclear energy. With nuclear-generated power, some lives managed to escape the cold. Just half a month later, the planet shone once more, and this outcome was entirely within your expectations. You never intended to wipe them out with just freeze bombs alone. Freezing their world was only meant to halt their progress. From now on, for the next 400 years, their civilization will remain stagnant, while over the next 400 years, you'll build your own cosmic fleet. By then, you'll declare war on this alien civilization again. You're very satisfied with the overall progress. For the next 400 years, all you need is to leave it to Lorraine and time. After all, as a human, you couldn't possibly live that long. As usual, you enter the cryopod once more and drift into deep hibernation. In a blur, 400 years passed in a flash. But to you, it felt just like a nap. Being in deep space, old clocks no longer ticked away hours, minutes, or seconds. Instead, a new calendar marked the passage of years. It is now the year 3758 AD. When Luo Ling saw you wake up, her heart was filled with joy. Welcome back, Captain, to my side after 400 years. After that, Luo Ling reported to you the achievements from the past 400 years. First, the maximum speed of the dawn has been increased to 1,222 kilometers per second, and the ship can now carry 48 small cryo bombs. And the most important thing, our very own first fleet. I have completed it. The first fleet is led by the Dawn as the flagship, equipped with 12 battleships, each 1,200 meters long, 5-star cruisers, each 1,400 meters, and 6 frigates, each 800 meters, 4 hive ships, each 2,400 meters long, 16 destroyers, each 500 meters long, a total of 44 ships. Battleships are the most powerful in firepower. They are equipped with powerful main cannons. Star cruisers have the strongest mobility. Their top speed reaches 1,455 kilometers per second. Frigates have the strongest defense. Their primary weapons are defensive missiles and are equipped with the latest electromagnetic shield, which can effectively distort laser hives. There are 40 of the latest Sirius fighters stationed inside each ship, capable of both attack and reconnaissance.
Destroyers
have both offensive and defensive attack modes. When firepower is lacking, they can be used as auxiliary battleships. But in these 400 years, The first fleet was not Luo Ling's main research focus. What Luo Ling really devoted herself to was the main cannon on the Dawn, the Oblivion main cannon, also known as the Antimatter Star Destroyer. When you heard the word antimatter, you immediately remembered the subject that scientists on Earth once discussed. Just 1 gram of antimatter releases enough energy to easily wipe out any city on Earth in an instant. Now Luo Ling has turned it into a cannon. Its power is unimaginable. Now But compared to these things, you're currently more concerned about the state of the enemy civilization. Lauren immediately made a report as well. During these 400 years, I fired all 10 cryo missiles and dispatched a team of reconnaissance drones to gather enemy intel. Upon investigation, under our continuous cryo missile bombardment, their civilization has suffered severe stagnation. In these 400 years, they only achieved 3 rounds of technological advancement, equivalent to just 47 years of development as before. Additionally, I equipped the 2nd-generation recon drones with nuclear weapons. After completing their recon mission, they would attack the Chuju structures. But now with our cryo missiles halting bombardment, the terrain of their planet has already returned to its original geothermal state.
Hearing this,
You come up with a question. So now, do we possess the ability to launch an all-out attack on the enemy civilization? Lauren replied, if we rely only on the fleet and cryo missiles, our chances of victory are just 60%. But with the Annihilation main cannon, our chance rises to 90%. Upon hearing the 90% chance of victory, you believe now is the best time. Although we can't make it 100%, letting things drag out any longer, the enemy civilization will also advance. The longer we wait, the lower our chances get. You roughly calculated the time. Now it's the year 3758 AD. The first time you were attacked by them was around 2806 AD. In other words, nearly 1,000 years have passed. It fits the old saying, revenge is never too late. Even after 1,000 years, once you confirmed the attack, you immediately gave Lauren the order, before attacking. Run a full check on all fleets and the main cannon. We'll launch our all-out offensive on that civilization soon. Meanwhile, on the other side of the universe, the entire Chuju civilization, having endured your 400-year cryo blockade, has become extremely cautious with its defense system, fearing your return. By now, they no longer rely on volcanic heat to survive. They've completely switched to nuclear energy supply, and everywhere in the Chuju homeworld, centuries of peace had led to a bit of complacency. When their alarm suddenly went off, it turns out the fleet that was supposed to return 400 years ago didn't all make it back to the homeworld. They left some ships behind to lie in wait around your Juan star, secretly monitoring you. The alarm that just went off was triggered by those hidden ships near you, sending the news back. Because right now you are piloting the first fleet, leaving your planet in force, making your way toward them with unstoppable momentum. In that instant, countless warships launched from Chuju's homeworld. They quickly locked onto your position. Their laser weaponry has now been upgraded, not only gaining range, but also boosting firepower several levels. They are convinced they can shoot down any incoming missiles with a single launch command. Countless lasers fired simultaneously from the planet's surface, targeting your fleet. Within days, the lasers reached the coordinates of your warships. Lauren was the first to detect the incoming rays and immediately ordered escort ships to shield the Dawn. All ships raised their electromagnetic shields. The electromagnetic field shield came up instantly, intercepting the lasers right away. Seeing this, you didn't stand on ceremony. Since the enemy welcomes us with lasers, we should send them a gift too. Order all battleships and patrol frigates to fire cryo missiles.
and so,
While you withstood their laser barrage, you retaliated with several cryo missiles. But this time your target wasn't the planet itself, but the fleet stationed in front of their planet. Before we reach their planet, destroy all these enemy ships. Cryo missiles, after several days in flight, finally reached the enemy's location. With a series of explosions, several Chuju warships were completely frozen, covered in ice and lost power, plummeting slowly toward the planet's surface. At this point, The two sides were now less than 1.4 astronomical units apart. You turned to Lauren and asked, "At this range, can our annihilation main cannon strike?" Lauren nodded, "Yes." "Then activate it. And give them a big present." As Lauren pushed the activation button, the annihilation main cannon began charging up. During the charging process, the entire fleet cut their electromagnetic thrusters and redirected all fusion device energy to the annihilation main cannon. After about 10 hours charge, the antimatter energy was fully loaded, with 408 kilograms of energy supplied. Following your launch command, a gigantic beam shot out, striking directly at the Shuju homeworld. Half the planet was swallowed by the light, causing a massive explosion. The terrifying blast was equivalent to 17.5 billion tons. A shockwave made of dust and rock destroyed countless buildings at 10 times the speed of sound. The Chuju space fleet, observing from orbit, saw everything and were frozen in terror. But you had no intention of stopping, continuing to push your fleet toward their planet. 30 hours later, the 12 lead battleships came face to face with the enemy fleet. As the old saying goes, enemies' eyes blaze when they meet. The moment the Chuju fleet saw your forces, they began unleashing their massive lasers, certain they'd succeed, thinking they'd make you flee just like with the dawn. They thought they could row you again. But things are different now, with Lauren at the helm. The battleships nimbly dodged all the lasers. Lauren's computing power has evolved over centuries of upgrades, and is no longer the easily confused AI it once was. With the gap between battleships and the enemy shrinking, Lauren immediately fired. Dozens of ships launched their cryo missiles together, accompanied by countless armor-piercing rounds. The Shuju flagship failed to react in time, and its hull was brutally torn open by the armor-piercing rounds, then hit by several more cryo missiles, instantly freezing into a giant ice sculpture. Seeing their flagship taken down, the other enemy ships dared not make a move. You noticed this, and ordered Lauren to ramp up the firepower, blow them all to pieces. But at that moment, an accident happened. Lauren discovered that all the battleship's attack systems suddenly malfunctioned, one after another stopping their assault, thanks to the battleship's onboard cameras. You guys figured out roughly what was happening. It was likely caused by those support ships. You could see their hulls emitting a strange red light. Lauren analyzed the situation and concluded these lights weren't ordinary, but gamma rays, a highly energetic kind of radiation. Under this kind of radiation assault, all our battleship systems were disrupted. But when the Chuju fleet uses this trick, there's a drawback. The support ships releasing gamma rays cannot attack while doing so, but they have planned ahead. They first use the effect to paralyze your weapon systems, leaving you unable to respond. Then rely on ground-based laser cannons to blow up the battleships directly. But Lauren wasn't phased at all. I never said only battleships can attack. Lauren switched control from the lead battleships to the 4 hive ships in the rear and opened the hive ships' hangars, releasing all serious fighters to destroy enemy warships up close. From the 4 hive ships, a total of 1,200 serious fighters swarmed out. The Chuju's interference only affected attack systems, not the fighter control systems. Seeing such an overwhelming swarm of fighters, the enemy fleet was stunned and frozen for a moment. The ground-based laser weapons had no idea which one to target. At that moment, a Chuju commander began shouting, "Ignore those little things. How much damage could something that small possibly do? Just target their main warships. Take them down." Just as the laser weapons zeroed in on the battleships, suddenly, those auxiliary battleships responsible for releasing gamma-ray interference are being rapidly destroyed, and the ones destroying these auxiliary ships are the serious fighters. It turns out Lauren loaded each serious fighter with 100 grams of antimatter. Its explosive force reaches over 4 million tons. In just a moment, nearly 400 battleships of the CEUB clan were blown almost to nothing. Meanwhile, the battleships, freed from interference, rebooted their systems. Lauren immediately launched an attack on the remaining ships. All 240 freeze bombs were fired, directly blew up the leftover ships until there was nothing left of them. The commanders on the CHU Bede planet watched this scene. Their hearts instantly sank, seeing them get beaten so badly. You suddenly felt a bit of pity. Hey Lauren, why don't you ask if they'll surrender? If they surrender, we can stop fighting. But Lauren firmly replied, I don't think they'll surrender.
Unless
We eliminate all their remaining armed forces. Only then will their civilians possibly surrender to us. Bear in mind, we've already killed nearly 200 million of them. You nodded, agreeing with Lauren's assessment. Go ahead and do what you need to do. We've already killed so many. A few more won't make a difference. After receiving your instructions, Lauren started controlling several second-generation scouts, heading toward the planet's surface. Lauren's target was the planet's laser weapons. Only by destroying them all can the Dawn safely enter this planet. Just then, some armed forces on the planet still refused to surrender. They were preparing to restart the surface laser weapons. Just as they approached the activation unit, the second-generation scouts arrived at their location, launching attacks directly, along with the armed forces and the laser weapons. All called back. Within just a few hours, all laser weapons on the planet were wiped out. As for the unarmed civilians, the scouts simply followed Lauren's orders, gathering them all together. I have something to say to you. Soon, a good number of civilians willing to surrender gathered. Now, put down all your weapons. Come to the location I've designated. If you don't arrive in the allotted time, from now on, we'll launch a new round of planetary cleansing, implementing the Civilization Extinction Plan. Once this message was broadcast, tens of thousands of CHU Bede lives stepped out from ruined buildings, raising their hands to signal surrender. After confirming the planet could be colonized, you gave their civilization a new name, Soft Pearl Clan. Right afterwards, you had Lauren draw up a set of policies to govern the species. The most critical one was to assimilate the next generation of Soft Pearl Clan into human civilization. Put simply, you wanted their children to learn Chinese characters. Of course, language is just the first step. Next, you needed to compile several books describing the greatness of human civilization and include content about the Soft Pearl Clan. Since their civilization had suffered brutal tyranny, countless Soft Pearl lives had been devastated. Their suffering was unimaginable. A scholar of the Soft Pearl Clan sent a distress signal deep into the cosmos, which was intercepted by human civilization. Humans immediately dispatched a fleet, crossed several light years to this place, and rescued the Soft Pearl Clan. You wanted to present yourself as their heroic savior. After Lauren noted your instructions, she reminded you of your initial goal in occupying this planet, which was from the Soft Pearl Clan, to find ways to break the human lifespan barrier. Members of this alien civilization typically lived around 400 years. Just now, I've already extracted their longevity genes, combining the most comprehensive protein structure database from Earth's era, analysis shows. If we apply these longevity genes to you, theoretically, your lifespan could be boosted to 620 years. But for now, this is still just my hypothesis. I need 5 years to conduct experiments.
hearing this,
You started feeling excited, though Lauren can't guarantee the feasibility of boosting your lifespan yet. But you trust everything, Lauren says. After all, conquering the CHU Bede clan was basically all Lauren's achievement. Even solving the problem of conquering a civilization was possible. Breaking the lifespan barrier was only a matter of time. Then you told Lauren to go ahead with it. 5 years is nothing. 10 years would be fine too. After deciding things, Lauren officially began in-depth gene research. Time flew by. 5 years went by in a flash. Eventually, Lauren achieved the expected results. In those 5 years, Lauren studied 1,838 soft pearl samples, conducted research, and from the information collected, developed the eternal rest drug, also called the gene modification medicine. In the later stage, through gene surgery, the eternal rest drug would be implanted in your genes, performing a complete genetic overhaul. Your lifespan could then be raised to 620 years. Hearing this, you suddenly felt a jolt of anxiety, because you're well aware, a full genetic overhaul means something big. Tiny genetic changes could bring about a whole new species. For example, mouse genes and human genes on Earth are over 95% similar. But just that little genetic gap creates two completely different creatures. You worry you'll look different after gene surgery. Your appearance might change. But then you realize something. As the last remaining human, maybe the appearance of humans isn't that important anymore. Lauren saw your worries and comforted you. Your looks won't change. Over these 5 years, I've run countless experiments. If I wasn't 100% sure, I wouldn't risk the captain's safety. And you won't be the only human in the future. With my current abilities, I can use your cells to grow new human embryos.
Hearing this,
You were stunned. You mean, we could recreate the human species? Lauren nodded. Exactly, simply put. It's basically cloning. In 1996, humans entered the age of cloning. That year, Dolly the cloned sheep was world famous. Cloning was widely used in the pet industry. Like if your beloved pet died, you could have it cloned at the hospital and get an almost identical pet. And it's not even that expensive, just a few $100,000 tops. But recreating humans is much harder than cloning pets. But I can assure you one thing, Captain. As long as you give me enough time, I'll definitely help you bring humans back. As long as the captain survives until then. Lauren paused and shrugged helplessly. So after all this talk, we're back to the original topic. Captain, are you ready for genetic modification surgery? Hearing Lauren's promises to you, a huge burden in your heart was lifted. All right, let's do it. If I haven't seen the day of human civilization's return myself, I can't die yet. Then Lauren brought you before a futuristic-looking surgery table. This operation is going to take quite a while. There are 12 sessions. Each session lasts a month. 12 sessions will take exactly 1 year. After hearing that, you scoffed. You spent hundreds of years in the cryo chamber. Spending another year here, that's nothing to you. With that, you climbed into the surgical pod without looking back. Lauren sealed the pod and started coding your entire genome. The courage drug also slowly began to flow in. From here on, you just leave everything to time. A year flew by. When Lauren woke you from the chamber, you finally came to your senses. Turns out a whole year had passed. Then Lauren handed you a mirror. You were shocked at your reflection. Your once sexy, bushy beard was gone. Luoling explained with a look of disdain, because, Captain, your lifespan has now exceeded 600 years. The term physical aging doesn't apply to you right now. Only when you reach 400 years or more will you begin to show signs of aging. And one more thing, your beard is gone. It has absolutely nothing to do with this gene surgery. Everyone complained that your beard was ugly, so I shaved it off while you couldn't move. Regarding Luoling's action, you didn't dare show even a hint of dissatisfaction. Fortunately, it was just shaving your beard. If they had complained your hair was ugly, Luoling might have shaved you bald. You would have exploded on the spot. However, at this moment, you noticed another surprising change. After fusing with the Ruju species genes, your eyesight became incredibly sharp, almost 10 times better than when you were human.
this means
You can now easily see objects more than 10 kilometers away. At the same time, a significant amount of steam was continuously rising from your body. You looked at Luoling with a shocked expression. I can't possibly transform into that thing now, can I? Luoling looked puzzled. What transformation? You raised your palm in front of Luoling and opened your mouth as if to bite it. Stop right there. Luoling quickly stepped in to clarify. What the heck are you doing? The steam coming from your body is the Ruju species' unique heat resistance ability. It's not for you to transform into a giant. Do you think this is a novel? Like you can just transform on command? After Luoling's scolding, you snapped out of your Chunibu fantasy world and regained your senses. Luoling then explained, the creatures on this planet all live around volcanoes and are naturally able to withstand temperatures above 90 degrees Celsius. The same goes for you now. As soon as Luoling finished explaining, you noticed another new change in your body. Just now, when you thought about transforming into a giant, the resulting surge of emotion made you feel that your own strength was rapidly increasing. Could I now enhance my physique by controlling my emotions? Luoling, however, stated, the Ruju species genes do not possess this ability. At this, you decided to take a gamble. They wouldn't willingly remain enslaved by another species indefinitely. You kept replaying scenes that could enrage you. To your surprise, the next second, you transformed into a huge green brute. Seeing you all green, Luoling immediately thought of a character, the Hulk. It was then that Luoling suddenly remembered, based on the scan report just now, and irradiated it for a period. He had placed the gene serum in a gamma ray device. How did it go wrong now? If on a planet with weak gravity, at the time the serum showed no abnormalities. I was afraid the suppression might affect your safety.
Now,
You could effortlessly lift a 400-kilogram barbell with one hand. The only drawback was this bright green body, which looked rather awkward. Luoling, however, said seriously, if you want to get by in life, first, the spacecraft's shape resembles a prismatic structure. Consider it a pleasant surprise. This way, Captain, you'll be able to protect me from now on, instead of always hiding behind me. Although you really wanted to refute Luoling right then and there, what he said seemed to be true. Before this, Luoling had always been protecting you. Don't worry, as the king's woman, I've drawn some bold conclusions. I will take action. Hearing these words, Luoling immediately retorted, their numbers have now reached over 300,000. The king's woman indeed. At this point, you began to ponder how to revert to your original body. Luoling mentioned, why don't you try to calm your excited emotions? I mentioned producing armed robots to you. That's how it happens in the movies, anyway. You immediately began to try, and soon enough, you actually reverted to your original form. Come on, let's throw a birthday party to celebrate my rebirth. Hold on. Just as you were joyfully preparing to celebrate, as long as they were intelligent life forms, the alien civilization we currently rule has seen a small-scale Ruju uprising. Many robots and aircraft have been destroyed by them. Originally, I wanted to suppress it directly, but you were still in surgery then. So I turned a blind eye to their uprising. The true masters of this planet. However, regarding the uprising, you found it quite normal. Luoling then began discussing their scale and numbers. Luoling delivered some bad news. In your mind, these rebels seem to have been planning for a long time, and they are still rapidly increasing. You definitely have Chunibu. There's one thing I don't understand. I clearly confiscated all their weapons initially, yet now they possess a significant armed force. I don't know where these weapons came from. As of yesterday, our industrial robots have suffered over 20,000 losses. You weren't concerned about the 20,000 plus robots. Losing 20,000 of them is negligible. We currently have a military force of 1.89 million. Before the gene surgery, has that been implemented? That should let you change back. Luoling replied that they had already been produced. Of the 1.89 million troops, 1.2 million are armed forces. Since we have armed forces, then dealing with this uprising will be easy. As for where their weapons came from, we'll just capture those rebels and interrogate them to find out. However, regarding the uprising itself, you could understand them internally. If humans were being enslaved at this moment, they too would try every possible means to resist. But understanding didn't mean sympathy or mercy. After experiencing a war and colonization, you had become incredibly ruthless. You unhesitatingly issued an order to Luoling. Immediately activate 1 million armed robots to forcefully suppress all rebels. Don't spare anyone, including their families. Don't spare a single one. Execute them all in the execution ground. The moment Luoling activated the armed forces, 1 million robots unleashed a killing spree. This war was a massacre in the true sense of the word. And the outcome was exactly as you expected. It only took you half a year to execute all 300,000 plus rebels. But more than the conflict they caused, you were more concerned about the origin of their weapons. After all, when you first invaded this planet, you had already confiscated all of their weapons.
now,
So many weapons of unknown origin had suddenly appeared out of thin air. You naturally wouldn't stand idly by. Eventually, from some of the imprisoned rebels, you extracted the source of the weapons, a lava tube beneath the volcano cluster, and marched directly into that lava tube. Luoling immediately assembled a portion of the armed forces. What appeared inside the lava tube was truly startling. A pyramid was hidden within it, and at the apex of the pyramid, a miniature artificial sun was floating. You immediately conducted a data scan on this mysterious pyramid. The scan results completely exceeded your expectations. It was, astonishingly, an interstellar spaceship. The main body was still deeply buried underground. Only the bow was exposed. Luoling beside you was deeply worried. Just as you were excited about discovering a new continent, I believe the Ruju species was not the original ruler of this planet. Might be the beings who developed this spacecraft. These words left you puzzled. Originally, you couldn't even lift a 30-kilogram dumbbell. Why do you think this spacecraft wasn't developed by the Ruju species? Luoling immediately responded. This kind of structure only offers stability and resistance to collapse on the surface of a high-gravity planet. That previously, from now on, just hide behind my mighty muscles. You sometimes need a bit of green on you. It would even have trouble docking. Unless this civilization has mastered anti-gravity technology. You, however, declared that the feeling was excellent, to keep the entire spacecraft suspended. And the results of the scan just now are exactly as I suspected. The beings who built this spacecraft must be a civilization with considerably advanced technology, perhaps the Yorazu civilization. Their civilization level is at least tier 2 or higher. Upon hearing this, you finally began to feel a sense of dread. Because your civilization was currently only at tier 1.4. If a tier 2 civilization truly existed on this planet, they could easily annihilate you. If a tier 2 civilization truly existed on this planet, they could easily annihilate you. Thinking about this, you just want to leave this planet right away. Lorraine looks at your panicked expression and really wants to smack you on the head. Calm down, Captain. If there really was a level 2 civilization on this planet, then when we attacked the planet back then, they would have made a move. There's no way it would have been our turn to take over this civilization. These words instantly calm you down. Makes sense. Loring continues to share her theories about the Med clan civilization. This civilization was probably attacked by an even more advanced one, and ended up getting shot down onto this planet. The Ryuzu who live here totally lucked out because of that. They inherited all kinds of powerful technologies from the Med clan, and instantly became the rulers of this world. But since Med clan technology was way too advanced, the Ryuzu could barely copy even a tiny bit. If that's really the case, then our original assumption that the Ryuzu were a level 1 civilization was totally wrong. They might not even qualify as level 1. That would also explain why this invasion went so smoothly. We practically steamrolled them. I was pretty confused at the time. Our civilization level and the Ryuzu's were basically similar. So how come they were completely crushed by us, without being able to fight back at all? Turns out, all their tech was copied. And they didn't even copy it, right? You agree with the points Loring's made. You nod in agreement as well. Especially when you remembered that time they were hit by freezing bombs. The whole planet instantly stopped functioning, with none of the resilience you'd expect from a level 1 civilization. Right then, a bold idea pops into your mind. If they can't figure out the Med clan's technology, why don't we study it ourselves? You immediately ask Loring, with your current abilities, if it's possible to decipher the Med clan's tech by researching this spaceship. If you could really crack their technology, then our civilization's level would leap to a whole new stage. But Loring just looks at you speechlessly. Do you think I'm some kind of god? This is level 2 tech we're talking about. You can't just crack it that easily. It's not that simple. At the very least, give me time for a level 1 performance. Otherwise, everyone will roast me again. I can't even fake it properly. After Loren's comeback, you don't dare talk back, and instantly change the subject. Let's put the tech aside for now. I've got my eye on the material of this ship's hull. Can you use this shell on the Dawn? Just look, after 6.7 million years, This ship doesn't even have a spot of rust. Shows just how special it is. With your reminder, Lorraine immediately has the armed forces analyze the hull material. A short while later, the analysis report arrives in front of Lorraine. Lorraine is shocked by the report. It's an alloy that exists at the quark level, called eternal crystal alloy. Its half-life is actually 1.7 billion years. Meaning, for this ship to rust, you'd have to wait at least 1.7 billion years. But the scariest part is, its strength is an insane 14,127 MPa. That means every square centimeter of this ship's hull can take 144 tons of force. If we use it on the Dawn, then the Dawn will be unstoppable. Lorraine agrees with a nod. So next, I'm going to coat the Dawn in eternal crystal alloy. With the goal complete, you're totally ready to leave this place. But Lorraine stops you at this moment. Captain, this time, you have to stay in the cryo chamber for a while again.
Hearing this,
You look dismissive? I'm a man with a 620-year lifespan now. Why would I need that useless cryo chamber? But Lauren calmly says, to crack the MedClan's tech and upgrade the Dawn will take at least 600 years. If you don't want to stay in cryo, then you'll have to stay with me for another 600 years. That freaks you out instantly. I'm useless. I need the cryo chamber. But right then, you suddenly worry about Lorraine. That's a huge workload. Can you finish it alone? Industrial robots can only help with production. But if you want to decode the MedClan's tech, you'll definitely need a ton of scientists. If you really need an extra hand, as the captain I can help too. I can help for a century or two first, then hit the cryo chamber. Lorraine just gives you a look of total disdain. What can you help me with? Even a random Ryuzu off the street knows more than you do. Even though Lorraine's contempt annoys you, you can't argue. But Lorraine's next words make you feel unexpectedly warm. Lorraine, I was created to protect humanity. Captain, you're the only human left. My entire purpose is you. At the same time, I have to keep the last spark of humanity alive. Over the next 600 years, I'll be working with some of the Rojuzu's best minds to conquer the MedClan's technology. But I'm also worried that a few Ryuzu could infiltrate my side and try to rebel again. If they see you hanging around helping me, you could be in danger. After all, you just live a long time. You're not actually immortal. So I'd rather you, Captain, just take a good, long rest in the sleep pod. These sweet words leave you speechless, and you just quietly say, After lying in the sleep pod, you start another 600 years of hibernation. You thought this hibernation would be like all the others. Close your eyes for a second, and 600 years would be over. But this time something unexpected happens in the sleep pod. Loring doesn't follow your planned 600-year hibernation. Instead, on your 500th year of hibernation, wakes you up early. You originally thought it was another Ryuzu uprising that woke you up. But Loring shakes her head. That's not the reason you were woken up early. Our civilization has now moved into a brand new era. You step out of the sleep pod, and the sight before your eyes leaves you stunned. Skyscrapers bursting with futuristic vibes are everywhere along the streets. All the cars on the road run on magnetic levitation. Maglev trains can now travel between skyscrapers over 2,000 meters tall, shuttling back and forth.
next,
Lorraine brings you to the place where the Dawn is parked. After more than 500 years of research, the Dawn now is fully covered with eternal crystal alloy armor. Every square centimeter of the hull can handle 144 tons of force. The only downside is that eternal crystal alloy is really dense, so it affects the ship's speed. To deal with this, the Ryuzu engineering team and I made special modifications. The electromagnetic thruster on the Dawn was directly replaced with this new infinity smokeless thruster. This solves the problem of reduced speed caused by excessive density that was causing the ship to travel slower. Now, the Dawn's top speed has reached 3,220 kilometers per second. For you, that's quite an unexpected bonus. Originally, you were only interested in using the hull material from the Yaozu civilization spaceship to apply it to the Dawn. But unexpectedly, Luo Ling not only managed to do that, but also brought the ship's speed to a whole new level. However, Luo Ling signaled you not to be too surprised. There's an even bigger surprise waiting for you. After that, Luo Ling led you onto a high-altitude levitating train and took you to a secret conference room high above the city. Inside the meeting room sat several elites of the Ruju tribe. Luo Ling explained that the progress over the past few hundred years couldn't have happened without their help. When the Ruju elites met you, they greeted you warmly. To your surprise, they actually communicated with you in Chinese. Luo Ling explained from the side, saying that learning Chinese wasn't actually difficult for them. During my time with them, I found out their intelligence is actually quite high. Their ability to learn exceeded my expectations. In my view, they simply lacked a teacher to guide them. If the Yaozu who once crash-landed on this planet hadn't gone extinct and had been willing to share their second-level civilization technology with the Ruju tribe, I believe the Ruju would have soon crossed the threshold to become a secondary civilization. And I realized they're actually not bad at heart. Over these 500 years, they've protected me many times. There were a few Ruju who infiltrated my side and attacked me multiple times. But every time something like this happened, most of the Ruju would shield me with their own bodies. This completely changed my opinion of them. Hearing those words, you also began to feel a sense of respect for the Ruju. But at this moment, you asked Lori back. You brought me here and said there was a surprise waiting for me. What exactly did you mean? Lorraine activated the display screen in front of you. Captain, look, what is that thing? Listening, you lowered your head to look. And in the next second, you were so shocked you couldn't speak. Isn't this a planetary engine? You actually built it. Lorraine looked extremely proud and gave you a demonstration right away. The moment the ignition switch was pressed, a planetary engine roared to life, emitting a massive burst of propulsion energy. The entire planet started shaking violently. You were shaken dizzy and quickly asked Lorraine to stop the demonstration. The creation of a planetary engine was beyond your wildest dreams. Isn't this something that only appears in movies? Yet Lorraine actually managed to build it for real. It's like she's a divine creator. But Lorraine said, the planetary engine, Captain, was something you once brought up to me. You looked confused. Could it be that your 500 years of hibernation wiped your memory? Lorraine took out a video of your pre-hibernation conversation. In the video, you were talking to Lorraine. Our target planet is Chengxi, not Zhuyuan. But if we moved to Chengxi, we'd have to abandon Zhuyuan, which we've developed for so long. It just doesn't feel right. If only we could do like in the movies and make a planetary engine to push Zhuyuan to the vicinity of Chengxi. These things you said offhand were remembered deeply by Lorraine. Ever since your hibernation, Lorraine and the Ruju had been working full force on planetary engine research. And in the end, they actually developed one. Lorraine knew well that you wanted to rebuild a new Earth, including recreating all humans and creatures of Earth. Now, Zhuyuan is filled with robots and Ruju. It's simply not suitable for humans to live here. That's when you asked Lorraine a crucial question. So can we start moving toward Chengxi now? Lorraine said yes, but if we start now, it will move a bit slower. There aren't many planetary engines built on Zhuyuan yet, but we can move toward Chengxi while continuing to build more engines. Estimated arrival time is 3,600 years. Upon hearing this, you sighed. That's way too slow. There's no way I could wait that long. Even the audience wouldn't be able to wait. Lorraine paused to think after hearing you. There is a way, though. We can take the Dawn first and head to Chengxi, then let Zhuyuan follow behind us. The Dawn is now equipped with the Wuji extinction engine, so with continuous acceleration, we can reach up to 10% of light speed. That means we'll get to Chengxi a lot faster. And to make sure we get there safely, the entire fleet will travel with us. In these 500 years, the fleet has expanded and upgraded. The total number of starships is now 157. And all equipped with the latest antimatter main cannons and high-energy laser weapons. Lytton has also been iteratively upgraded and can now completely keep up with the Dawn in terms of speed. With the whole fleet protecting us, we'll be as safe as possible on this journey. At this point, you have a question. If we're all leaving, who will govern the Ruju? You looked at Lorraine's mischievous smile and immediately felt a bad premonition. You're not thinking of staying here to manage the Ruju, are you? Leaving me to go to Chengxi alone. I can't do that. Loring looked at you helplessly. Don't worry, Captain. I know exactly what your limits are. There's no way I'd let you go to Chengxi alone. The problem is, we have to protect the captain, while also taking care of Juan. So there's only one solution? Create another copy. I'll have them take over my position. Then, I can accompany you to Chengxi. Hearing this solution, you froze for a moment.
To Loris.
Which means, your status as captain just got even lower. But we're about to leave soon. Do you still have time to make another one? Loring said she had already built it earlier. She just never needed to use it until now. So never let them appear.
After saying this, Loring ran out.
And soon came back with them. Captain, this is my twin sister Loshing. The moment you saw Loshing, your eyes sparkled. She looks so much more well-behaved than Loring. Why don't I bring her to Chengxi with me instead? Loring shot you a fierce glare. What was that you just said? Say it again if you dare. Sensing Loring's murderous intent, you immediately shut your mouth. Then, Loring began explaining some precautions to Loshing. I've left a large number of armed robots here on Juyuan. If any Ruju rebel while we're gone, it doesn't matter if they're distinguished scientists or rebels. You can eliminate them directly. You can destroy them all. It's clear that Loshing doesn't like violence. When she heard destroy them all, Loshing immediately waved her hand in refusal. Can I just give them a verbal warning? And only destroy them if absolutely necessary. Is that really necessary? After hearing Loshing's answer, Loring didn't want to force her to do things she didn't want to. From now on, you're the boss here. You make these decisions yourself. But remember one thing. If you're too kind, people will take advantage of you. I've finished giving you all my instructions. My dear sister, see you in 3,600 years then. After finishing the handover with Loshing, Lorraine immediately grabbed your ear and dragged you outside. Captain, you just wanted to take my sister to Chengxi, didn't you? You fickle old creep. Once we're on the ship, I'll settle this with you. Now you've realized, this trip to Chengxi probably won't be so pleasant. After a full day of inspection and preparation, you're ready to leave this planet. Because you plan to take the entire fleet of starships. You left the Yaozu ship found on Juyuan to Loshing. After all, that's a level 2 civilization ship. It's more than enough to guard Juyuan. After a brief farewell, you piloted the Dawn, and the fleet left Juyuan. At the same time, Loshing, still on the planet, pressed the start button. The planetary engines roared to life.
And so?
An interstellar journey of 3 people and a planet officially began. During this time, as a human, you remained in cryo-sleep the entire way, waiting for Lorraine to awaken you upon arrival. Luckily, in these more than 1,000 years, you didn't encounter any other alien civilizations, and finally arrived safely at the Chengxi star system. However, Juan, which was following behind, didn't move as fast, because there still weren't enough engines on Juyuan. Loshing and the others were far behind you. It wasn't practical to keep waiting in place. So in the end, you decided to lead the fleet into Chengxi first. But right at that moment, Loren's sensors sent out an alarm. On the Chengxi comet, they detected traces of biological activity. This instantly put everyone on the alert. No one dared to move ahead recklessly. To be safe, you sent several drones to the comet. After days of investigation, sure enough, they found biotic activity tracks on the planet. It's a life form with a head-shaped face, whose insect-like body is as massive as a bull. At first, when your probes detected them, you thought they were just a primitive species. But as the investigation deepened, you were surprised to discover they weren't simple at all. These beings had built a complex city network and mastered energy technologies far beyond your imagination. As ugly as these creatures may appear, they actually possess a level 1.8 civilization. Bear in mind, your civilization is currently only at 1.6. The difference is only 0.2. But every 0.1 difference between civilizations means that after determining that the opponent's civilization level is so high, you have already conceived the idea of leading the army to retreat. In order to preserve human civilization, you spared no effort spending millennia to voyage from Earth to here. However, the current Chengxi Yi star has been occupied by this advanced civilization. If we attempt to capture this planet by force with a fleet, with your current level 1.6 technological prowess, you are destined to have no chance of victory. At least several hundred more years of development are needed before we can have the strength to fight. But if we retreat now, thousands of years of effort will vanish into thin air. At this moment, Luo Ling beside you came up with an idea. On the way to the Changxi star system, I noticed there are two special planets nearby. For now, let's call them Jiangxi Ding Star and Changxi Bing Star. Changxi Bing Star, according to my observations, it is a rock planet covered in ice and snow. Its mass is 7 times that of Earth. But as a planet orbiting a red dwarf star, its surface temperature is extremely low. It should remain stable at around -230 degrees Celsius year-round. For a planet without a geothermal environment like this, it is difficult for a civilization system to form. Since it can't form a civilization, then the danger level on Changxi Bing Star will be greatly reduced. We can first go and settle on this planet. Once we have a foothold, we can consider the next plan. Even if we are later discovered by this level 1.8 civilization, between Changxi Yi Star and Changxi Bing Star, there is a distance of 1.5 astronomical units. We can still escape in time. As for Changxi Ding Star, it itself has abundant geothermal environment. The temperature is around 100 degrees Celsius. Although this temperature is more suitable for us to settle, but planets with geothermal environments have a much higher probability of giving birth to civilizations. Therefore, the danger level on Changxi Ding Star is higher than that on Changxi Bing Star. The most important point is, it is too close to Changxi Yi Star. The distance between the two is less than 10,000 kilometers. If we are really chased by that level 1.8 civilization, we won't even have time to escape. You highly approve of the plan proposed by Luo Ling, but for the sake of safety, you still decide to send reconnaissance aircraft again to scout clearly on Changxi Bing Star. After all, the opponent is a level 1.8 civilization. The temperature of -230 degrees Celsius on Changxi Bing Star. They may have already adapted to it. If we lead the main force there rashly and really encounter them, then it will be a fight to the death. At the same time, you instructed Luo Ling about another matter.
Gain more understanding of the enemies on Changxi Yi Star.
We need to find a way to penetrate deep into the enemy planet and thoroughly understand their weapon systems to prepare for future counterattacks. At this point, Luo Ling raised a question. Our reconnaissance aircraft, flying around in their planet's atmosphere is fine. But if we directly fly into their armed zones, wouldn't we be blown to smithereens? Unless our spacecraft can pass for the real thing.
Hearing this,
You are somewhat puzzled. What does pass for the real thing mean? It means that we can imitate the appearance of their spacecraft. When their patrolling spacecraft return to formation, we can mix our spacecraft in. This way, the chance of gathering intelligence is much greater. Hearing this plan, you couldn't help but admire Luo Ling's clever idea. Subsequently, in order to increase the success rate of this mission, you specifically disguised a scanning machine as a meteorite. According to your recent observations, you discovered that among the 3 planets in the Changxi star system, there is a channel paved with meteorites. These meteorites scatter around at specific times, forming paths to other planets. They also close the channels at fixed times. You precisely took advantage of this point and mixed the meteorite scanner into the meteorite group. After several days of waiting, you finally waited for an enemy spacecraft to pass by the scanner. It quickly scanned the appearance of the spacecraft. Based on this data, Luo Ling used only half a day to convert several reconnaissance aircraft into the appearance of enemy spacecraft. Finally, you successfully mixed these reconnaissance aircraft into the returning spacecraft formation. However, this civilization is clearly not so easy to fool. As soon as the reconnaissance aircraft passed through the atmosphere, it was directly locked onto by ground electromagnetic turrets. It seems that merely imitating the exterior can't deceive them. The next second, the reconnaissance aircraft was directly pierced by electromagnetic cannons and crashed on the spot. Seeing this plan fail, you began to think of other methods. But Luo Ling smiled and said, "The plan has already succeeded. Inside those several reconnaissance aircraft that were blown apart, I installed several micro-aircraft. Their shells are made of the Hengjin alloy from the Yao clan spacecraft. Those electromagnetic waves only destroyed the reconnaissance aircraft's shells. The micro-aircraft inside were not harmed. Sure enough, as Luo Ling predicted, several micro-aircraft slowly flew out from the wreckage of the reconnaissance aircraft and began to scout the surroundings. At the same time, the reconnaissance aircraft sent to investigate Chengxi Bing Star also sent back a report. Just as Luo Ling said, this planet is all glaciers at first glance. It doesn't look like a place where civilization could survive at all. But just as the reconnaissance aircraft patrolled behind an iceberg, you discovered that a large amount of black mist was drifting out from the bottom of the iceberg. Could there really be an alien civilization on this planet? You controlled the reconnaissance aircraft to slowly descend to the bottom of the iceberg and unexpectedly found a running factory hidden below. However, you did not find any life forms present because all those working inside were robots. They were processing a large amount of garbage. It seems this cold planet has been turned into a garbage disposal station by that alien civilization. You waited for a long time without seeing any appearance of the hostile civilization. So you thought of directly controlling the reconnaissance aircraft to fly into the factory interior for inspection. But just then, two alien creatures walked out of the factory, chatting about something as they walked. It seems they are the persons in charge here. You quickly handed the controller to Luo Ling and asked Luo Ling to translate what they were chatting about. Through the supercomputer inside her body, Luo Ling soon parsed their language. Have you heard? This morning on the main star, several spacecraft from an alien civilization were discovered. But this civilization seems to lack intelligence. They actually just imitated the appearance of our spacecraft and tried to break in. You should know that every spacecraft has a registered number. Once there is one that doesn't receive the number and dares to directly penetrate the atmosphere, all will be blasted to pieces. This alien civilization is really foolish. Hearing these words, Luo Ling beside was already furious. This mishmash actually dares to call me foolish. The last one who said this to me, the Roju clan, has already been turned into kebabs by me. Next will be you, this bug. However, their subsequent conversation made you realize that this race is not simple. Another alien creature said, "What is there to be smug about? Since today they can send several spacecraft to find our planet, then next time, it might be an entire fleet coming to challenge us. Moreover, this time we shot down their spacecraft, which could very well be understood by the other side as a declaration of war. It's better to be careful recently. Who knows, their agents now are already lurking around us, eavesdropping on our every move."
Hearing this,
You instantly got goosebumps all over. It seems this civilization has strong anti-reconnaissance awareness. You are right. The universe itself is a battlefield. All civilizations are enemies, against each other. We have been hiding our own strength, never actively provoking war. It's not that we don't dare, but that we are still too weak now. We need to develop low-key. Someday, our Tangjia clan will become the overlord of the universe and trample all other civilizations underfoot. You realized from this conversation that they are not only ambitious. If a civilization wants to keep expanding and growing stronger, it must occupy the territory of other civilizations. It seems that this war with the Tangjia clan is inevitable for the sake of human civilization. We must win this time. Just then, a plan suddenly pops into your mind. Maybe there's a way to avoid a direct conflict and still conquer the Tangjia clan's civilization. All we need is to create something. Luo Ling looks puzzled after hearing this. Captain, what exactly do you mean by create? You pick up the controller and input the blueprint of the item you've envisioned into the controller. Luo Ling takes it and looks. What is this thing? Looks familiar, but you keep them guessing at this moment. You'll know once it's built. I'm giving you just 70 years. As long as we can make this thing, we'll win the war without fighting. Although Luo Ling can't figure out what it is right away, seeing you so confident, she agrees. You're my captain after all. Who's going to spoil you if I don't? Finally, in the 65th year, Luo Ling created the item shown in the blueprint. But to his surprise, it turned out to be a giant castle, one that can even fly. If this plan works, we can conquer the Tangjia clan without any fighting. You all give the castle a loud name, Skycloud City. Its design was inspired by the Yaosu civilization's spaceship appearance. That way, when the castle lands on the surface of Morningstar 1, its lower half can firmly anchor into the ground. Once it lands successfully, the castle will deploy a massive magnetic shield to protect itself, leaving only a wide open door at the bottom for the Tangjia clan to enter. But you're not welcoming them to live inside. Skycloud City has another name, the Trial City. Inside the castle, there's extensive use of virtual reality and holographic projection technology. The environment is constantly changing. To reach the top floor, one must enter through the lowest gate and challenge 200 levels non-stop to become the strongest. Just then, Luo Ling raises a question. Manager, are you sure? The Tangjia clan will come to challenge this city. What if they don't challenge it and simply attack by force? What will you do? Actually, you've considered this too. You can't defeat them, which leaves only defense. You ask Luo Lin, if they're attacking the castle, how many days can the magnetic shield hold? Luo Lin checks the data panel. Based on the current investigation of Tangjia's main weapons by the recon drones, their most destructive weapon is one called the Anshi main cannon. It's a lot stronger than our annihilation cannon, and we only have one main cannon, while the Tangjia clan probably has a dozen Anshi cannons. If they launch a full-scale attack, we can hold out for at most just under 10 days. Although you were mentally prepared, hearing Luo Lin say this, you still break out in cold sweat. You know that all your fleets have poured 50 years' worth of accumulated antimatter energy directly into this magnetic shield. You thought you could hold for at least a decade, but it turns out you can only last 10 days. But you quickly calm down. If there's only 10 days, then during those 10 days, you just need to turn their desire to attack into the desire to challenge the city instead. I've got a new plan. Luo Lin is surprised upon hearing this. Captain, when did you become so clever? Did you bribe the author to change the plot? What's the new plan? Quick, tell me. I want to hear. You're used to Luo Lin's sarcasm. I've long gotten used to it. Captain, I just usually let you have more screen time. Give you more scenes, you know? But when I step in, it's always a game changer. Besides, if I don't step up as the protagonist, this journey to the stars will end up revolving around you. What would I have to do then? Seeing this, Luo Lin says nothing more. Looks like I won't have to work so hard in the plot going forward. You turn to look at Luo Lin and ask straightforwardly, can you hack into the Tangjia clan's network? Luo Lin laughs carelessly. That's easy. We still have recon drones hiding on Morningstar 1. Just use one as a jump point. But why are you invading their network? You don't explain much, and simply hand him the controller. Send this information to their network. Spread it widely. Luo Lin glances at its contents. Her eyes instantly light up. Captain, you want to fight a psychological war with them. You can't be bothered to explain. Urge her less talk, more action. Disseminate it quickly. Once the Tangjia clan sees this info, let Skycloud City land on Morningstar 1. Luo Lin simply agrees, and quickly sends the info out through the recon drones. Just a few days later, the Tangjia clan on Morningstar 1 all received this mysterious message. A powerful civilization never hides. It sees other civilizations as prey. One day in the future, a majestic Skycloud City will arrive on this planet. Is it bringing goodwill or malice? The Tangjia clan can't know for sure. This castle will not launch a barbaric attack, but it cannot be easily destroyed either. It will open its doors, waiting for the Tangjia clan to enter. At the top of the castle tower lies a treasure for ascending to a higher civilization, nicknamed One Piece. Whoever obtains this treasure will become an envoy of a higher civilization and possess supreme power. It may even allow the Tangjia clan to achieve a leap in their civilization. At that time, this person will become a Tangjia clan hero and be remembered forever. At first, the message didn't cause much stir. Most of the Tangjia clan just treated it as a joke and ignored it, not taking it seriously at all. Until one day, the sky, which should have been bright, suddenly darkened. The The Tangjia clan looked up in terror. Only then did they see a giant castle floating above Morningstar, in the outer space of the comet, blocking out all the light. Most Tangjia clan members immediately thought of that message. This is Skycloud City. Aliens are really here. An unnamed fear instantly spread through their whole civilization. Tangjia's top leader Ji Yuan urgently called a meeting and quickly came up with a response. First, send the main ship and a fleet of battleships to destroy the intruder, and assign people to quash the rumors in the network. Must calm the civilians down. Soon, an official statement from Ji Yuan reached the civilians. This is all just a coincidence. Don't believe the rumors circulating online. If this alien civilization dares to invade the Tangjia clan, they will only meet destruction. We have already mobilized the most powerful Anshi main cannon, ready to obliterate them. As soon as the words fall, the main ship equipped with the Anshi main cannon swiftly heads toward the location of Skycloud City. After learning that the Tangjia clan's first wave sent their strongest main ship, you immediately drop the idea of landing Skycloud City on Morningstar 1. Forceful landing would certainly cause casualties among the Tangjia clan. You originally built Skycloud City to avoid war, and you can't repeat the tragedy of Zhu Yuanxing. You order Luo Lin to stop advancing. Just stop right there and wait for them to approach. After quite a while, a spherical spaceship appears in front of the castle, followed by many battleships of various sizes. Looks like this spherical ship carries the main Anshi cannon. Without waiting for your comment, the spherical ship switches to attack mode and starts charging up at the center. Its surface erupts with countless yellow lightning bolts. When the overwhelming power peaks, the Tangjia clan commander inside roars, "Fire!" A blast of dark matter energy is unleashed, rushing towards Skycloud City at near light speed. The moment it hits the magnetic shield, it triggers a massive explosion. That terrifying energy wave is felt clearly even by you all. Your heart suddenly tightened. Could the magnetic shield on Xiao Yuncheng really hold up? Luo Ling seemed to see through your thoughts. She handed over a controller, her tone carrying a hint of dissatisfaction. You actually don't trust my abilities? See for yourself. The display showed that the magnetic shield fails once the energy bar hits 0, and Zhao Yuncheng would then be exposed to the range of fire. According to my estimates, their attacks for one full day consume about 10% of the magnetic shield's energy. It can last at least 10 days. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Tangjia fleet commander was already celebrating in advance. I didn't expect that in our first encounter with an alien civilization, we would successfully defend our home. It seems the Tangjia race in this universe is also a top-tier existence. Yes, any civilization that dares to invade our planet will be destroyed. A toast to victory. Cheers. But not long after, the fire from the Darkstone main cannon gradually ceased. The Tangjia fleet commander, holding a glass of red wine, turned back with a smug expression. Let me see into how many fragments this lowly civilization has been blown. As the words reached his lips, his smile froze instantly. What the hell? It's completely unscathed. But compared to the intact Zhao Yuncheng, something else panicked the commander even more. Because they were overconfident in this attack, they had started a global live stream before taking action. They intended to use the feat of shooting down an alien civilization to boost morale. But what was the result? An all-out shot with their full power. Didn't even scratch a single hair of the enemy. The civilians on Dawnstar 1 watched this scene, and their high spirits instantly turned cold. The silence then rapidly transformed into panic. Countless Tangjia people flooded into supply distribution centers, buying everything up frantically. Doomsday! This is a sign of doomsday! Through the view of the scouts on the planet, you saw them fleeing in terror. It was obvious that the situation was spiraling out of control. What you wanted to create was the image of a benevolent, advanced civilization. However, the Tangjia race had already categorized you as the enemy that intended to destroy them. You had to find a way to soothe the emotions of these civilians. You had Luo Ling re-edit a message and post it on the network. Zhao Yuncheng is not a weapon of destruction. Not every advanced civilization harbors malicious intent. Instead of destroying the Tangjia race, it is better for the two civilizations to cooperate. What we truly want is to build a federation composed of many civilizations. The view count for this message quickly surpassed 100 million. The effect was immediate. Many civilians calmed their rioting emotions and began to discuss the matter. Could what they're saying be true? Zhao Yuncheng isn't here to massacre us, but to make peace with us. I think this advanced civilization is indeed benevolent. Look, they took a direct hit from our main cannon and didn't even plan to counterattack. Now they're even trying to reassure us in return. Seeing that the message was effective, you both finally breathed a sigh of relief. But you overlooked a key point. Soothing the civilians does not decide the course of the war. Those who truly have the power of decision are the high-ranking Tangjia leaders. The message you sent out was immediately labeled a civilization conspiracy by the top brass. How could it be such a coincidence? There was a strange prophecy message before that accurately predicted the appearance of Zhao Yuncheng. And now another message pops up, asking the Tangjia to accept all of this. Isn't it just a bit too convenient? At this time, Ji Yuan could no longer fathom your true intentions. If this advanced civilization truly came to make peace, and the Tangjia insisted on attacking, it would be equivalent to declaring war on them. Left with no choice, Ji Yuan could only order the warships to withdraw first, to observe your next move. Seeing that the goal was achieved, both you and Luo Ling were thrilled. I didn't expect them to stop after just one round.
Next.
We just need to continue spreading information online to completely break their psychological defenses. This war will be as good as won. But things didn't go as planned. While you were making your perfect plans, the Tangjia's internal foundations began to shake. Due to this defeat, many Tangjia people sided with Zhao Yuncheng, demanding the top brass stop their resistance and welcome Zhao Yuncheng into Dawnstar 1. If we insist on fighting an advanced civilization, the only outcome is destruction. We might as well offer Dawnstar 1 to them.
Perhaps.
They will lead us toward a higher level of civilization. Ji Yuan, who had intended to wait and see during the truce, heard this and was instantly livid. These lowly commoners. We at the top are racking our brains here, trying to save Dawnstar 1, and they're turning their backs on us at a time like this. Speaking for outsiders, don't they understand that victory and defeat are common in war? To surrender to the enemy after just one defeat? Men, assemble the troops. Arrest all those rioters. In just one day, hundreds of thousands of rioters were arrested. After quelling the internal unrest, Jian also realized that if the leaders didn't show a tough stance now, the civilians would slowly lean toward Zhao Yuncheng. Once the support of the people is lost, the Tangjia race will be finished. He immediately issued orders to the fleet. Fight with everything you've got. Max out the power output. I want to see exactly how long they can hold out. At this time, you didn't know yet that the Tangjia were about to launch another attack. Not until the alarms blared. Did you discover that Zhao Yuncheng's shield energy was dropping rapidly? Luo Ling's expression changed instantly. They've increased the power. At this level of output intensity, the shield won't last 10 days. She hurried to recalculate, and finally arrived at a chilling number. Captain, we don't have much time left. Less than 5 days. You could only pray that they would stop the attack before the 5th day. Time passed day by day, and the 5th day soon arrived. The shield's remaining energy was only 5%. One more attack from the Tangjia and it would fail completely. But you were certain they wouldn't attack again, because since the 3rd day, their power output had been continuously declining. By the 4th day, the shield had only consumed 6%. This indicated that the Tangjia's dark matter reserves were not that abundant. If they kept fighting, their economy would completely collapse. The result was exactly as you expected. Jiuan was now completely numb. They had poured nearly 40% of their entire civilization's energy reserves. Yet they still couldn't budge that Zhao Yuncheng. Jiuan even began to believe the previous message. Perhaps this was just one of many castles sent by the other side. In a few days, another dozen identical castles would surround Dawnstar 1. By then, the Tangjia race would truly be over. He was forced to lay his cards on the table. Everyone, make a choice. Continue the attack or declare a ceasefire? The other high-ranking officials spoke up one after another. Let's end it. There's no point in dragging this out. We also have to admit the massive gap between human civilization and the Tangia. 38% of our energy reserves are already burned through. If we insist on fighting, we won't even have to wait for their castles to surround us. The Tangia's own system will collapse first. But compared to the now powerless leaders, the common civilians were already in total chaos. What on earth is the top brass doing? They keep fighting even though they know they can't win. If they don't want to live, don't drag us civilians down with them. Self-preservation is what matters. Run! Escape from Dawn Star 1. From that day forward, hundreds of civilian-piloted ships fled into outer space every day. The top brass wanted to intercept them, but Ji Yuan signaled to let them pass. Let them run. Those who abandon their civilization are cowards. Haven't you heard the saying? In just 3 days, more than 4,000 spaceships fled Dawn 1. This result is exactly what you wanted to see. Civilians fleeing the planet, leaders giving up resistance, all because of a few online rumors. You can't help but sigh. It seems the Tangia aren't very bright after all. Humanity is, after all, superior to other species. But just as you were feeling smug, the situation suddenly reversed. Your scout drones planted on the planet to spread rumors were captured by Tangia soldiers. They dismantled the drones and traced the source of the information. Jiyuan's gaze instantly turned cold, concluding definitely that this was a conspiracy by human civilization. If their military power were truly above ours, why wouldn't they just attack us directly? Why use such tactics to disintegrate us from within? He immediately ordered, send a message to the ships fleeing the Dawn Comet at once. Tell them all to return and provide support. We have exposed their conspiracy, though I am not sure. If human civilization's level is truly above ours, there is one thing I am certain of. As long as we choose to defend, humans can do nothing against us. This discovery gave the High Command a shot in the arm. At least the Tangia still had a fighting chance. But the report the soldiers brought back next left Yuan completely stunned. The civilians who fled Dawn 1 had not gone far. They had all entered Shaoyun City. At the same time, the High Command received a message from a civilian. We are not cowards who abandon our civilization. Since you leaders can't solve this, then we civilians will, the humans said. As long as we reach the top of the castle tower and get the One Piece, we can lead the Tangia to a higher level of civilization. This is also to protect Dawn 1 and the Tangia race. Since the High Command doesn't dare to enter Shaoyun City, then we will. Take that risk. Juan looked at this message, feeling very uneasy. As the top leader, he should have been protecting the civilians. But now he was being protected by them instead. He was silent for a long time, finally dropping all resistance. Delete that message exposing the human conspiracy. They have already entered Shaoyun City. If the news gets out, humans might retaliate against those civilians because their plot was uncovered. We'll consider this a roundabout way of protecting them. He paused, his voice lowering. Of course, these are just my guesses. But honestly, I truly hope that humanity, that higher civilization our civilians believe in, can really provide that so-called One Piece and lead the Tangia to a higher civilization system. Meanwhile, a surveillance screen popped up on Luoling's controller. Captain, many Tangia have already entered Shaoyun City. You let out a long sigh of relief, finally letting go of your anxiety. The plan has finally succeeded. If they had attacked just one more time, Shaoyun City would have ceased to exist. Luoling smiled. Well, luck is also a part of strength. You stopped smiling and gave orders seriously. Start operating Shaoyun City. Next phase of the plan. Delete all their memories of being Tangia and implant human memories. I'm going to turn them into a sharp weapon. A weapon to crush the Tangia High Command. Your true purpose was to train these Tangia as undercover agents, to be planted near the leader. When the time is right, at a single command, you will eliminate the leader directly. At that time, Dongwon will completely belong to humanity. Luoling threw a wet blanket on you from the side. Captain, stop daydreaming for now. They just stepped into the castle. And you're already fantasizing about ruling Dongwon. Instead of doing that, you should hurry up and start Shaoyun City's systems. You were taken aback by her words, then urged, "Let's begin then." The moment you press the button, the virtual reality system started up. The weather inside the city began to cycle through the 4 seasons. Randomly, scenes everywhere were regenerated. The Tangjia who just entered the castle were incredibly excited. The world here was completely different from theirs. Vibrant colors were everywhere. However, they didn't know what to do yet. Standing there blankly, talking among themselves, you quickly picked up the controller to give them something to do. You first switched the daytime in their area to night. Seeing the sky suddenly darken, hunger followed for the Tangjia. They immediately set out as a group to find food. After they ate and drank their fill and returned, you switched the area to a dense forest. The Tangjia became alert instantly, hurrying to collect wood to start a bonfire. It seems they also understand that fire can drive away beasts. The next day, you picked up the controller to check their status, finding that even though it was noon, they were still sleeping. You switched the clear sky directly to a rainstorm. Rain poured down, and the Tangjia finally realized they needed a house. They gathered their team to go into the forest and cut wood. In less than half a day, they built a house that could provide shelter from the wind and rain. Under your guidance, they spent a month like this. They learned to cook food with fire, build human-style houses with wood, and obtain various vegetables through farming. After mastering these basic skills, the next step was to learn culture. With a flick of your finger, you switched their area to a classroom and replaced their text to ensure they could understand. With human poetry and literature, half a year later, they could recite various human poetry collections backwards.
Next,
Training their emotions and desires, you switched the classroom to a bar to let them experience what it feels like to be drunk. The emotions humans express when drunk are the most abundant. You felt the Tangjia should be the same. Soon they were dead drunk. Some were dancing, some were reciting poetry loudly, and some even started fighting under the influence of alcohol. Their behavior became more and more like humans. After a whole year of transformation, most of the Tangjia had successfully transformed into a new generation of pseudo-humans. They would return to their home planet as undercover agents, but for safety's sake, you also implanted a chip in their brains.
this chip
Could read their deepest thoughts. Once a thought unfavorable to you occurred, the chip would force delete it immediately. Everything was ready. You opened the gates of Shaoyun City and released them all. But just when you thought those Tangjia civilians could return to their home planet without hindrance, something unexpected happened. The moment these civilians landed, they were surrounded by armed forces. They were then escorted to prison. And this was the order personally issued by the Tangjia leader Zhuan. Any Tangjia who has been to Shaoyun City is to be detained without exception and screened one by one. Examine their cognitive abilities if necessary, to ensure they haven't been brainwashed by humans. Once signs of brainwashing are found, delete all memories of Shaoyun City from their minds. If, during the enforcement process, they show any aggressive behavior, soldiers may shoot them on the spot. Some high-ranking officials didn't understand the point of Zhiyuan's actions. Isn't it a good thing that the civilians returned safely? Why imprison them? Zhiyuan replied, a total of over 4,000 ships went to Shaoyun City, carrying as many as 20,000 Tangjia civilians. If they didn't bring back that treasure, but were brainwashed by humans instead, to become their helpers, and we don't check them thoroughly, do you realize? Once these 20,000 plus civilians spread information unfavorable to our leadership, then within days, so now I'd rather make a mistake by being ruthless than let any of them go. After around 10 days of screening, the results stunned everyone. There were actually over 18,000 civilians who chose to stand with human civilization, and this outcome left Origin at a complete loss. They couldn't keep these people locked up forever. What's more, the families of these detained civilians had already started gathering together, denouncing the atrocities of the authorities. Now there was only one option left. They could only release them, but before letting them go, they deleted all memories related to Zhao Yuncheng from their minds. A few days passed like this, and those civilians were released. the rebellious groups gradually calmed down. Just when Juan thought this matter had come to an end, the situation quietly shifted again. On the other side of the universe, you all, when you learned that the civilians' memories had been deleted, didn't seem nervous at all. The fact that the memories were erased was something Luo Ling had already anticipated. Since you have the ability to brainwash and alter the memories of these civilians, it's only natural that Juan, leader of the Tangjia tribe, could do the same. Just in case, you made a copy of their memories from their time in Shaoyun City and implanted them into a chip. Then you instructed Luo Ling to re-upload the deleted memories. The chip. As soon as the command was issued, the Tangjia civilian hosts immediately reacted. The memories began slowly recovering. At this point, the second showdown with Tangjia leader Origin officially began. Over the next 384 years, you successfully turned nearly 1/3 of the Tangjia civilians. Thus, the Tangjia split into two main factions. The left wing supported the human camp, while the right wing remained steadfastly loyal to their own tribe. The left wanted the Tangjia to form an alliance with humanity, to defend against other advanced civilizations together. However, the right wing scoffed at these remarks. What humanity is doing now is simply invading the Tangjia. Their so-called alliance is just an excuse to enslave the Tangjia. If you really dare betray the Tangjia and side with humans, all that awaits you is death. And from this moment on, the Tangjia ruling class was completely divided. Because of this, a small-scale war broke out between them. Thanks to Zhao Yuncheng's defensive enhancements, the left-wing forces completely overwhelmed the right-wing militarily. Soon the right wing was defeated and driven off the planet Changxi. From then on, Changxi became the left-wing base, while Changxi became the stronghold of the right wing. But even after losing twice in a row, Juan didn't plan to let these traitors off. Even though the left controlled Shaoyun City, it was still only effective defensively. Offensively, they had to rely on the antimatter warships. So Juan assembled a group of commandos with a plan to blow up the antimatter factories on Changxi. As long as they lost their means of counterattack, the left could only defend passively with Shaoyun City and wouldn't pose a threat to us for now. We needed to use this period to rapidly develop our technology and raise our civilization's level from 1.8 upwards. Just another 0.1 level increase, and I'm sure we'll break through Shaoyun City's defenses. As it turned out, Juan's decision was absolutely correct. Using the commandos, after one successful surprise attack on the factories of Changxi, the left lost the ability to counterattack, at least for now. The majority of Tangjia's military strength was still concentrated on Changxi. The forces on Changxi couldn't really match up. This incident resulted in hundreds of thousands of casualties for the left-wing Tangjia. Juan was greatly satisfied with this ambush, destroying the antimatter factories and wiping out hundreds of thousands of their troops. But what Juan didn't expect was that the left used this attack for massive propaganda and spread the news on the galactic network. They claimed the right wing, led by Juan, were the true destroyers of civilization. Humans are our friends. And you all saw this attack. They, the right wing, went so far as to massacre their own people. One day, the civilians on Changxi, you all will become their human shields. This matter caused a huge stir across the Tangjia network. What Juan didn't expect was that 1 million civilians chose to leave Changxi that very day, heading for Changxi, and joined the left-wing faction. Juan's actions this time completely broke their trust. Among these 1 million civilians, most had family members who died in this surprise attack. However, in your opinion, the influx of over 1 million civilians to the left didn't have much real impact. First, the antimatter factories had been destroyed, so the left lost their ability to fight back. All they could do was defend passively. Secondly, the resources on Changxi were already extremely scarce, and now with over 1 million suddenly arriving, consumption would quickly overwhelm the planet, and Changxi would collapse first. Luo Ling saw it too. This time, the left wing could be considered defeated. Just when you thought the left was about to fall, Luo Ling intercepted an encrypted transmission from within Changxi. It was a secret order from Juan to the right-wing leadership. Gather all antimatter main cannons and prepare to launch a devastating strike on Changxi. not just the left, but including your Don and Zhao Yuncheng. He wanted to wipe them all out. He's gone insane. Loren's voice, rare for her, sounded heavy. With 17 antimatter cannons firing simultaneously, Changxi would be shattered on the spot. You stood on the bridge of the dawn, watching the icy blue planet projected in Changxi's hologram, and were silent for a long time. Changxi, now home to over 1 million left-wing Tangjia civilians, with the forward base you spent centuries building, and the Shaoyun city that carried all your strategies. If that planet was destroyed, everything would be wiped out. Everything would be reset to zero. How much time do we have? You asked. According to the calculations, with the main cannon's charging speed, no more than 72 hours. 72 hours you closed your eyes, your mind racing. Then you opened them. Luo Ling, do you remember the microsun? In the medicine tribe ship box? Luo Ling paused, his pupils constricting instantly. You mean the medicine tribe civilization we've been researching for 500 years? While we never fully cracked it, there's a technology you've already mastered. You looked into Luo Ling's eyes. Stellar level energy compression. Luo Ling was silent for 3 seconds. For a super AI, 3 seconds meant billions of calculations done. You want to use Xiaoyun City's magnetic shield as a containment field. Compress all the energy of Dawn's annihilation cannon into an artificial star, and then ignite it in the forbidden's orbit of Changxi. Not detonate it. You shook your head. Ignite it. You pulled up the holographic star map of the Changxi system and marked a point between Changxi and Changxi. The Tangjia live on geothermal energy, but their homeworld, the Changxi comet, orbits a dying red dwarf with dimmer sunlight each year. Their geothermal resource will inevitably be exhausted someday. That's why Juan has been obsessed with technological development and so ambitious to conquer the universe. Their home is slowly dying. But if we light an artificial sun between the 2 planets, what then? Lorraine finally understood your intention. It's not a weapon, but a gift, an eternal sun, enough to warm both Changxi and Changxi, so the Tangjia would never have to fear energy depletion again. When Earth was destroyed by gamma rays back then, I lost the sun. Your voice is very calm. Now I'm going to build a new one with my own hands for them. Lauren said nothing more. He turned around and began a frenzy of calculations and deployments. 72 hours later, when Ji Yuan gave the command, 17 main cannons locked onto Dawn Gamma. At the moment they fired in unison, a light suddenly blazed to life in the night sky of the Dawn system. That light was gentler than any star, yet more awe-inspiring than any weapon. An artificial sun hovered between 2 planets. Golden brilliance spilled over the surfaces of both Dawn Beta and Dawn Gamma. The millennia-old glaciers on Dawn Gamma began to melt, revealing beneath the ice a black, rich soil that had never seen sunlight. And the cooling volcanoes on Dawn Beta came back to life under the thermal radiation of the new star. The barrels of the main cannons slowly shifted away. Ji Yuan stood on the command platform, looking up at that unnatural sun. His whole body shook uncontrollably. He had lived for more than 300 years, witnessed countless wars and struggles between civilizations, but had never seen a civilization end a war in this way, not by destruction, but by giving. 3 days later, Ji Yuan personally piloted a ship, without a single weapon, to the gates of Shaoyun City. He walked through the wide-open doors. He didn't challenge the 200 trials inside. Instead, he went straight to you. This alien leader whose head resembled an insect's, with a body as strong as a bull, slowly bowed before you. Human, you have won. Ji Yuan's voice was hoarse and low. Not because you're stronger than me, but because you did something I never could. You reached out your hand and shook Ji Yuan's rough, severed limb. I didn't win. From today on, there's no more winning or losing. In 5193 AD, the Human Tangjia Alliance was formally established that same year. Juan's star finally arrived at the Dawn system. Luo Sheng piloted the planet, which had been pushed by planetary engines for 3,600 years, and slowly parked it near the orbit of Dawn Delta. After their initial wariness, the Ruju and Tangjia began to exchange resources and technology. You stand atop Juan's star, looking up at the sun you lit with your own hands. Sunlight spilling over your young face. You can no longer remember how many years you've really lived. The years in cryo don't count, and the days you spent awake have blurred into a haze. You only remember a very long time ago. That night on Earth, gazing at the stars. Back then, you never would have imagined that one day you'd be the person to ignite a star. You hear Lauren's footsteps behind you. Captain, the first batch of human embryo cultivation succeeded. Lauren's voice had a rare gentle tone. There are 12 in total. 7 boys, 5 girls, all healthy. You didn't turn around. But Lauren saw your shoulders tremble just a bit. Have you given them names yet? Your voice is slightly hoarse. Not yet. I wanted to leave that to you. You were silent for a moment. Then you smiled. Let's call the first one Spark. You turned around, looking into Lauren's eyes that would never age. A single spark can start a prairie fire. Under this sky, 4.2 light years from Earth, the flame of human civilization is finally burning again. It was once extinguished by gamma rays and drifted in the cold universe for millennia. It came to the edge of eternal darkness countless times. But in the end, it never went out, because someone gave everything they had to protect this last flicker of light.